Yes, 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 ladies and gentlemen, it's time for part number 2 of Day 9 Daily number 370. I do a lot of dailies. It's the 370th daily, as a matter of fact, where we're looking at Huck versus Arya, who is one letter away from my dear friend Arya, who is the most foul-mouthed sweetheart you will ever meet. For any of you who don't know, don't worry. Everyone who does is chortling away. Let's go ahead and pop back into the game. In part number 1, we looked at Arya's basic setup. In particular, we looked at the kind of unusualness of getting this layer up quickly, and getting this spire, and getting this third base up. A lot of the reason I think many don't end up with this third base up is because they don't have the incredible mechanical crispness of Arya. By having everything line up literally perfectly, not damn good, but literally perfectly, he can have a few extra drones out, and then get a few extra resources, and then sneak in an extra hatchery as a result. And that's something that's really exciting to me. We also took a look at Arya's incredible first-person camera to get a sense of, wow, yeah, he's really not looking back anywhere else on the screen except... or he's not looking back at his main base on the main screen except when he literally needs to physically do something, like expand. Now look at how weird and unusual this is. A Zerg player who is being aggressive, getting ready to do another attack, and is now expanding to a fourth. We're at 11 minutes and 45 seconds. This is so unusual. Generally we'd see a player... I mean, maybe if the Protoss early expanded and the Zerg went for 3 bases quickly, he'd be starting to go all aggro donk mode. But when a Zerg opened up 2-base play, that's extremely uncommon. Missing a couple injects. Herpy-derpy-der. And literally never letting up on the aggression. I kind of could go at times 2 speed, but I kind of preferred, for the most part, to stay on faster for the early stages of the game, so that way we could see this sort of cool movement going on. So... in the early game, again, it was all about build order, build order, build order, build order, and a little teeny tiny bit about mechanics, about looking at those mechanics. Now what I want us to marvel at is the way Arya is going to use his basic tactical movement. He has everything rallied basically to mid. Doing these basically arbitrary attacks with his mutalisks. He's going to be as bold as he possibly can, but he's never going to be over-committally bold. In the Units of Lost Station, we see way more has been lost for Huck. How unusual is that, right? Let us come back to before the attack. Again, it was pretty even. Most of it is probes lost. But I want you to just select the Mutalisks with me. And by select the Mutalisks with me, I mean just frickin' watch me, damn it. He's going to move in with the Mutalisks and literally lose like no Mutalisks. Look, pulling away until it's small groups, and it's this kind of in-moment decision-making that really separates the absolute, like, top 0.5% with the top 1% of players. Sure, he stayed back to pick off a Stalker, but he took no damage. He's looking aggressive the whole time. People will try to mimic what Arya's doing by popping in with Mutalisks, and what they'll fail to recognize is the fact that not a single Mutalisk is lost. Arya's going for those guaranteed kills. Look at the minimap. Look at the Overlord spread. The constant active Overlord spread. Absolutely essential for good tactical positioning. Once he has map control, now he's starting to slowly take the watchtowers. Why would he go for this double gas right now? He does have 72 drones, but why go for the double gas really, really quickly? This is an important fact that everyone should know. With any race, this is like the most important thing ever. Sure, gas is really important as a resource. That's not all of it. The important thing is that on 3 bases, you can basically have as many minerals incoming as you'll ever really need. That's not the best way to say it. That's not the best way to say it. How do we rephrase that? Okay, so if you have 3 bases, you're going to have 6 drones mining gas at each base. So that's 18 drones mining gas. Yeah. Cool. So now, what's the usual number of drones that we say is the good amount to have? About 70 to 75 is when you want to stop. More than that, people kind of as a rule of thumb say that's too many. So if you have about 20 drones mining gas and you have about 50 drones mining minerals, you're basically saturated on the minerals on 3 bases. So when you end up acquiring more bases, like if you end up acquiring another base like this, if you transfer, like, as we can see here, We have, Jesus, 13 drones. There we go. We have 13 drones. Yes, good, I can count. We have 13 drones. If we did something like transfer these 5 drones to here, it would not increase our mineral mining at all. Once you start to get to 4 to 5 bases, you can't really increase your overarching rate of mineral income, but you can increase your rate of gas income. That's the main reason why you want to be getting gas so quickly here. You're actually able to make use of this expansion. Yes, having more expansions is good, but you don't get explicit, direct results from it unless you start nabbing gas from it right away. Very, 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 very important to note. On 3 bases, you can max out on your mineral income, and no amount of transferring stuff around will get you additional money. I hope I made that clear, because my god, am I right as shit. Alright, cool. So, obvious, good tactical positioning. Moving in this main side. Continuing to skirt along the left and outside edge, but oh my gosh, what is this? Well, it's actually a warp prism. I know there was a warp prism. Did I write it down wrong in my notes? Alright, guys, ignore me. God, I'm so wrong. There it is. Oh, there is a warp prism. I actually just couldn't see it on my mini-map. This is one of the things that just was impressive about Arya. He was moving down to do this attack along the left lane, immediately saw this warp prism with his mini-map overlords, and pulled back so stupidly quickly, it made my freaking mind explode. God, did I lose it again? Ah, my eyes are off today. Actually, literally, my eyes are off. Because I played Amnesia Dark Descent and I didn't blink the whole time, my eyes dried up. And when I have really dry eyes, not only are they really, really red, but also I have trouble seeing properly. And of course, I'm terrible at cleaning my glasses. And I'm blind, and these aren't real eyes. Anyways, everything up to the blind part was true. And he kills it off. So, Arya's being ridiculously well-timed with all his upgrades and stuff, but we're also noticing that by getting this 4th base up really, really quickly, we normally would see players go into huge macro mode, but Arya is actually teching really quickly. Now, I don't want you to think of it just purely as, alright, he's getting fast tech. He's doing the everything build. There are compositions that you go for that are really good, direct, kill 'em kind of forces. Like Roach Hydra Corruptor. That's what you do to kill somebody, right? You drill the front with a lot of units, and then you got him. This composition from Arya is not that. Notice that there's a lot more Zerglings than would be ordinarily the case. We have Mutalisks here to do a little bit of aggression and harassment. But the big thing is, this is a force that is great at being aggressive and messing with the opponent. In other words, it's good at buying us time. Anytime you have one of these aggressive forces, try to take advantage of that by teching really, 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 really quickly. Doing all sorts of fun, fancy tech stuff. If you can do some stuff with Speed Reapers in mid-game, then yeah, you can probably do some fast teching. If you have some Warp Prism style harass, or some Blink style harass, use those opportunities to do big tech plays. And of course, spending all his money as ridiculously fast as he possibly can. And look at all you people who said, oh, you can't be aggressive with Zerg. Well, Arya is being so stupidly aggressive with Zerg all game long, doing a quick value judgment in the mid-battle and going for it. Now, what I want you to note is there's this transition that very few good players use that's literally just straight up good. In the late game, getting Ventral Sacks and getting Banelings to go for the Baneling drops as a direct attack, and also the Baneling drops on the worker lines. When are Baneling drops useful? Well, A, when there's a huge amount of units and you can drop them well, and B, when you can kill workers in one shot. Or in other words, when you have +2 melee attacks. So this is actually a very, very clever transition that we're seeing out of Arya. And Huck is kind of holding down like a boss, because that's what Huck is known to do. A lot of workers being killed off, and all that sorts of good jazz. I do think that if Arya was a little bit more macro-focused during this battle, he probably could have just shoved over and won the game. And a lot of people, I think, erroneously were like, well, he doesn't seem to be ending the game. He's, you know, wow, it looks like he's toying with Huck. He's experimenting with compositions. Do not ever assume that sort of garbage. Like, ever. Ever. Even if the player says to you, oh yeah, I was messing around and totally going for it. It's not as important as trying to figure out something useful that you can do. Always try to be figuring out how can I do this again. See this composition? What do we say about a Zergling, Roach, Mutalisk composition? This is a composition that you would use to bring the noise, that you would use to do attacking, that you would use to mess with your opponent, to buy you more time. Hive is up right now. This is a little bit mistimed, the upgrade, but that's fine. It doesn't matter that Arya mistimed. He's going to be using this same force again to buy himself more time. And of course, with this Expo up, what is the rule we went for? Get your damn geysers up, because this expansion at this point in time is not really serving any grand purpose. Continuing to spread the overlords out literally along every inch of the map. Who needs sensor towers when you can actually just see exactly what the hell's there? Super cool. I can't believe how many Zerg players just don't get overlord speed, like now. You just get it. Just go, go, go. Go, 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 go. Overlord speed. Go, 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 go. Just get your freaking overlord speed up. Kill off anything you can. Yeah. Really good about not overextending himself. I do think just hitting G a couple times and expanding, dropping creep would be good. Creep spread, obviously, less than ideal. But hey, we have another good mess with him, Force. A ready to rock, full Baneling drop, initiated. And do we actually have +2 done? No, we don't. He's only had one Evo Chamber all game long. And this is part of what people were criticizing quite a bit in the forums. They were saying things like, why did he not, or, they're saying things like he didn't seem to have the usual grasp on what he should be getting. I would say that most veteran Zerg players, your Damagas, your Nesties, and these sorts of players, would very, very much so be having 2 evolution chambers a lot earlier. They would clearly be going for, like, Zergling and Carapace, or, Roach Hydra and Carapace, something like that. Arya has only just now gotten this second evolution chamber, so that's obviously, I would label as a mistake. However, notice that this evolution chamber has literally never stopped being busy all freaking game long. It has absolutely never stopped being busy. Other basic principles of good gameplay. The more extended we are, the more back defense that we need to have to be able to stay safe against future aggression. This is important fundamental RTS rules that are lost because people get so obsessed with their build orders and their compositions and rely so heavily on those as crutches that they forget just basic good safety in gameplay. Huck literally has never gotten to cross his side of the map at any point. This is an odd composition, Mutalisk, Roach, Baneling. And we're going to end up seeing Arya just continue to drill with it. This force doesn't work so well in direct engagements. I do think that the just overarching idea of having Baneling dropped at this point in time is, I think, very clearly good, as we can see by the fact that even with this not-so-great angle and the not-so-greatest composition, Arya's really, really doing some serious hurt. Funny thing to think, this Hive was one of the safest moves we did all game long as Arya. One of the safest. We got it up while getting our freaking 5th base up and while keeping Huck super pinned back. And then we never really got any Broodlords. We haven't actually done a damn thing with this Hive. Obviously, I would like to see more with that, but for anyone who's watching this and thinking, how do I steal Arya's ideas? Well, you can improve upon them. Arya has created this great platform for us. He opened up with the big 3 at the start. Really fast layer, really fast roaches with upgrades, really fast layer for the Spire, really fast roaches with the speed upgrades, and then also getting himself a fast 3rd after he opened 2 base. That's really unusual. And yet still with his aggression, he's able to get his 4th and 3rd up pretty quickly, and his Hive up really quickly. Can definitely be improved upon in a way that will make Zerg feel super way the hell scarier. I haven't actually talked too much about Huck this game, but just note that Huck is doing the stuff that we would expect to be reasonably good. One thing that Huck does specifically, if he sees you going Mutalisk Zergling, he gets armor rather than attack. You'll notice he's at 3 armor and 1 attack, because, I mean, our Zerglings are going to be doing, 6 minus 4? Okay, they're doing 2 damage to our Stalkers. Excellent. Mutalisks have 3 bounces that do damage in 9, 3, and 1, respectively, per shot. So, hell, the armor's working really, really well. It's basically going, 9 minus 4? What the hell is that? What is it, 5 or some shit? Yeah, it does like 5 damage or some shit. That's nothing. Sean the Math King, he's mathing. He does maths. Math, 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 math. Alright, cool. We have our geysers maxed out. We have a rip-roariously good amount of geysers. Holy cow, how many of you don't get this upgrade? How many of you don't have your evolution chambers as ridiculously active as this? All of y'all. No one except for Arya is this good at upgrades. I would like to see a little bit more spreading out and about by Arya, instead of just sort of like looking around, finding the army, engaging. He's kind of engaging things in really, really good spots. There was a moment at one point in the game that I think blew everyone's socks off. I want to say it was either here or somewhere else. This is a moment, or a maneuver that like people would theorize but would never quite be able to pull off. When some storms land, Arya picks up the infestors into the overlords, so that way the infestors don't take any damage, and then unloads them to fungal. I can't remember if it was in this battle or one later in the game. This is one of those times when you just go, damn, that's good. I mean, you don't really learn a ton. You just see it and you're like, whoa, shit, I want to try to do that. Yeah, it looks like it was not at this moment in gameplay. And what would every Zerg player be doing at this point in time? Well, they would have all their hatches rallied up to the front lines. And it looks like he finally does, but he hasn't been doing that much all game long. Really needs to load up these guys and continue with his little multitasking shenaniganry. Still notice how we're not actually using the hive? Isn't that kind of funny to see a player who can get hives so fast, so safely, and then not use it? And there's the overseers coming up so that way he can get a lot of changelings. Yeah, I have no fucking clue either. No clue in the slightest. But really, really sort of crazy, ridiculously, stupidly aggressive. And it's kind of hollowed out his opponent. And I think your average bear would be able to recognize in this spot time to just rally roaches and go for the kill, or something along those lines. And weirdly, we see Arya back off. His attack timings have been relentless. He's using these Baneling sort of drops to be able to do damage. At a point like this, if you are starting to go for Broodlords, what you need to begin doing is you need to begin doing Zergling drops on this side, peeling him to the left, and then do Baneling drops on this side, continuing to distract him. You want to be peeling him left and right, keeping him on the defense, so that way, again, you're buying yourself more time. We were able to buy ourselves time earlier with Ling, Roach, Mutalisk, but we don't have that anymore. The more you transition into Infestors, the less you kind of have this harass heavy force, and the more you kind of have this ready to do a direct attack style force. There are the Baneling drops. There we go. Yeah, doing some couple Baneling drops. That's so great. Would love to see some more drops on this right half side. This is pretty unexciting stuff at this point in time. This is the sort of thing that I mean, it's going to end up looking alright. I mean, Huck is a real badass, and he's able to pull out in time. However, this should be coordinated with something else going on here, something else going on here. This is the first point in time in the game where I feel like Arya has petered out a little bit. Makes me a little bit sad. He seemed to have all the answers to all the aggression and all of everything. And now suddenly it's kind of stopped. And I think it's important to be sensitive to how that feels to your feeling. Like when I was watching him the first time, I was just like, oh my god, he's attacking, he's going for it. Hell, even when I started to rewatch this today during the daily, I was like, god, that guy is able to get some bunch of units up fast. God, that hive is coming fast. Damn, those expos are coming up fast. And then we just did 3 attacks in a row, and we were like, well, I guess we'll get Broodlords, and it kind of felt a little bumpy. I feel like we can cut a lot of those bumps out and be sort of safe. Arya, again, with the ridiculous reaction timing, just moving the Overlord around. He's like, yeah, I see it. Yeah, I very see it. Problem? You got a problem, baby! Obviously, storming your own units is not so great. But of course, when you're Huck, you can just basically do whatever the hell you want. And let me just... Oh my god, did you see that cool reaction timing? Here's parts in the game that are just cool. Parts in the game that are cool. We end up seeing a whole bunch of zealots. There's a storm. There's a storm, and right when the storm goes down, he goes, oh, sweet, and fungal growths all the zealots into the storm. Holla! What a baller. What a frickin' baller-ass baller. Now, what would go great with this sort of attack? You're right, Baneling drops at the left would go great. Maybe like a roach drop over here. You know who's good at that? Stefano! Really good at that, really good at that. We saw mid-game unit positioning brilliance from Arya. And late game, there's this sort of like, well, let me attack with these units. Well, let me attack with these units. Well, let me attack with these units. And a lot of people, because they were unusual compositions, will say, Arya must not know what he's doing, or Arya must be toying around with the opponent, trying to figure out what composition does what with what, and blah, blah, blah. Everybody does that. Literally everyone, to a point where I want to rip my face off. Almost everyone will do the following. They will have harassment and good plays and be hitting all over the place and have good unit positioning because they're all part of this pre-planned grandiose build, and then they'll hit a point where their script ends and they go, I guess I just build a bunch of units and just attack them. Everyone does this. Like everyone. One of the hallmarks of the best of the best of the best in the world is that the Terran players will continue to drop and continue to send 6 Marines with stim off on one side of the map and do damage. The Protoss players who continue to use warp prisms like this. This is a hallmark of really smart, good play. This, to me, was the hallmark of someone who is way too used to winning in the mid-game, and there comes a point where they stop thinking, and they go, well, the attack really should work right now. Broodlords are slow as hell. One of the greatest ways to reinforce Broodlords is to be doing drops of small roaches or small banelings all over the place. And I believe that firmly. We're going to be taking a break. When we come back in part number 3, we're going to finish the game up, see Arya's half-assed attempts to close the game off, and again rediscover why Huck is a huge damn badass. And then after that, I'll stream Amnesia.